You know, there's nothing we could say to replace Mike's voice, nothing we could do to fill the void. But on behalf of the friends at API Legal Outreach, please accept our sympathy and support. Mike worked as an Asian law caucus attorney in Chinatown at a time when social change was only an agenda, our only agenda. Our different community agencies struggled, fought the fight to make progressive changes to an unjust system. But I also remember at times on Fridays, we would meet at Chinatown playground to play lunchtime volleyball and blow out some steam. I didn't know we might play volleyball. In his commitment, Mike was always dedicated, focused, generous, optimistic, and never egotistical. We appreciate his work as the organization grew as we went through our growing pains. Mike liked to express himself with his finger. I can hear him preaching with his finger wagging. And it was always good sharing about community, about social justice, and about staying humble. Or I can still see Mike challenging about some obscure answer at the API Trivia Championship, always on behalf of the reverse DNA A&D. Finger wagging. Dean, the first API singer with the top 40 hit was Larry Ramos of the association Not the Jets. Mike, we will miss you. I will always remember you. Thank you for your dedicated work and love to being with him. Thank you.
For inviting me to speak. It's taking a lot of courage on my part, but when I think about what would Mike do, I know that I'm going to do okay. I'm Corinne Jan. My 98-year-old mother always says, "Give me roses when I'm alive, not when I'm gone." In the case of Mike Wong, I do believe that he surrounded himself with roses every day through his love for his work, his family, his friends, and through his many gifts to humanity. I could never figure out how someone with such superior intellect and astute analytical ability could be so affable and down to earth. The answer is that Mike was born with brilliance and quiet fire, but at the same time blessed with a heart of gold. I met Mike over 20 years ago, and it sounds like I met him in the next phase of his post-militancy life, but still were great beneficiaries of all that he had to offer us. So I met him when we were both participants in a social impact organizational retreat. I do not remember the name now. They probably didn't listen to Mike, and so they disbanded. The new open committee. So he was early into his consultancy, and I started contracting with him for the many facets of organizational development for Family Bridges, which was then called Open Chinese Community Council. Mike grew up with us over the last 20 plus years, walking alongside us every step of the way through our diversity initiative, our renaming, our rebranding, our board development with each board iteration, strategic planning at least 5 times, the last one being this past January, conflict resolution, executive team building, and always lending me his lenses that would ground me and assure me that I wasn't as crazy as I felt. We used to joke that I was his PR agent. I referred him to all of my network, including national organizations. I served as the ubiquitous reference for potential new gigs. At some point, Mike never had to tell me that he used me as a reference. And after a point, I never had to prepare for what I would say when complete strangers would call for a reference. Days before he passed, he texted me with the same tone of serenity that made him our Mike. Quote, "Hard time adjusting to the pace, but energy good, spirits up, reading, writing, playing guitar, What's not to like? That was our Mike, facing the sunshine and shielding us from shadows of worry and pain. I can only console my sorrow by believing that Mike really did live life to the fullest by giving, teaching, loving, and impacting change with such grace, humility, and kindness. Sue, over the phone, when he was in the hospital the first time, he was so incredibly grateful and loved that you were his rock. I would imagine that you were both each other's rock. To you and Dennis and Gary, who I've never met, but he always called his boys, please know that we are all here for you. You are so fortunate to have loved and been loved by such a giant human being. Please don't be afraid of your grief. I know I am, but I read somewhere that grief is merely love with no place to go. I've never met Lana, Noah, or Zachary, but I know that they will always shine with Mike's impeccable vitality. And finally, to my dear, dear Mike, thank you for holding my hand, for lifting my head, and for filling my heart with such light, wonder, and so much joy. I love you.
I'll be speaking on behalf of the Asian Men's Group. The AMG, as we like to call it, has been meeting since 1986. We initially gathered to talk about what it was like to be an Asian man in our society. Mike joined the group in 1990, and he used his amazing facilitation skills to choreograph some of the most well-thought-out workshops at our annual Asian Men's Group retreats. His workshops almost always included the elaborate use of Post-it notes. Sometimes he had us draw self-portraits, sketch out our life's aspirations on large sheets of paper. His presence in the men's group always brought us into a deeper understanding of what made us all tick. Although Mike had his core issues like control, we all had core issues. He impressively was never one to shy away from staring those issues in the face and pushing himself and all of us to the edge of our comfort levels. Ray, one of the guys in our group who is leading a contact dance improv workshop in Sweden as we speak, wrote this. Mike's attention to detail in all aspects of his life have been inspiring to me. I'm grateful for having known and worked with him in the Asian Men's Group. I miss him dearly and wish the best for his family and loved ones as they carry on in life without him physically present, but ever present in our hearts and minds. So one might think that if Mike was in the group, we might also have a mission statement, but we don't. I'm going to tell the story of Mike, forgive me. So, we have been meeting, going on these retreats for probably, I don't know, 22 years, right? And we were getting stale. Like we would try to talk about racism, and we would end up talking about relationships. And toward the end, we started talking about how we're all getting really old. That was the main focus. So one day, Mike shows up to the retreat, and we each led a workshop. And I thought he was going to take out the Post-it notes and large, bulletin boards. And he gets up in front of us, and we're all sitting there like this, and he starts taking off his clothes. I'm like, oh my God. And in about 2 minutes, he was stripped naked in front of us, completely exposing himself, showing to us that, he's there. And that was, to me, so impressive. I tried to turn my face, my eyes! He said, look at me. And he pushed our group to grow deeper. As Asian guys, as you said, sometimes we don't want to talk about our feelings and stuff. Mike really pushed us to do that. This coming October, our men's group will gather once again for our annual retreat. And it's going to be really strange without him there. I mean, who's going to do the barbecuing for us? More importantly, we will miss his loving and gentle heart and his unique way of pushing the AMG to do growth. We will miss him dearly.
Hi, I'm Gary, Mike's son. We put together a little slideshow so we can see some pictures of him.